Hey guys, Rolando Rodriguez here with xgains.com. We got workouts that work, eats that satisfy, and everything else you need to reach your lifestyle goals. Hey guys, so today we got a couple special guests, which are two other YouTubers. Guys, say hello. And their channel is the Super Rodriguez Brothers, but they're not only YouTubers, they're also my
kids.
Now, some of you may already know, I'm starting a video blog series directed towards low-carb, high-fat ketosis approach, because every time that I post those videos, I get a lot of questions and people seem to love it, and now it's an extremely hot topic. I've been following this eating approach practically for the last 3 years now. The first year I did it for about half the year. The second year I did it for about 10 months out of the year. And this final last year that I did it, which was this previous year, I did it for 11 and a half months out of the year. And I felt phenomenal. Now, the 0.5 month, the last couple of weeks of the year that I didn't follow the low carb, high fat diet, the first couple of days, and we'll talk about this later, I felt phenomenal. And then towards the tail end of it, eating pretty much anything that I wanted, I started feeling like crap. So I'm extremely excited about starting the low carb, high fat approach again this year, and I'm going to do it for as long as it feels comfortable. Last year was 11 and a half months out of the year. Of course, Christmas came around in the New Year's and people slipped. Now, when we as a family follow the low carb, high fat eating approach, that means that these kids, the one playing with the paintbrush and the one laughing at him, follow the same eating approach. We don't really change it. Gabriel, which is aka Gordo, will eat anything, say hi, eats anything you put in front of him. Alejandro, on the other hand, is an extremely picky eater. But because high fat, low carb is so tasty, there's really nothing to complain about. So, what we got here in front of you is our Kickoff low carb, high fat bulk purchase to start it all off. This is about $400, but we are a family of 5, including Ella, their little sister, which you guys see. So the items you see here in front of you are what my wife utilizes to cook throughout the week, and they'll last from a week to 2 weeks, depending on how much we eat. Because as you guys know, low carb, high fat, if you're trying to cut weight, is not only about eating low carb, high fat, but also about reducing the amount of calories that you're intaking. So depending on what calorie goal I'm trying to hit, if I'm trying to maintain or if I'm trying to gain weight, I might eat more, or if I'm trying to cut, I might eat less. So the food will vary in terms of how long it lasts, but certainly a week, if not 2 weeks. And because you're buying in bulk and some of these items you're going to get to reuse, you're not going to be spending $400 every 2 weeks. So we're going to start off working from the front back. What you see in the front right here is some heavy whipping cream, which I don't really know what my wife utilizes that for. Again, I'm going to talk about what I know, and then we're going to make some videos to let you know what my wife does with these ingredients later on. But I know that this is what's in our refrigerator, and these are all low carb keto / approved. Basil / pesto. We got some calamate olives, which Gordo loves. Right, Gordo? He'll eat these for breakfast, believe it or not. Regular olives. We got some mayo. This one's actually made with avocado oil, but regular mayo is fine too. And we have that tub here. And then some mustard, which my wife utilizes for certain elements. Then we got lemons, which give any salad a big bang for their buck in terms of flavor. Right, Papu?
Yeah, but they're called limes.
Now, as we move back towards the dairy section, we got some, that's the meat, some Parmesan Reggiano cheese. Big shout out to my buddy Paul McCarthy, who told me about the Reggiano cheese, and it does make a difference between regular Parmesan. But we put this on top of what, Papu?
Caesar salad.
Caesar salad. We put it on top of the chicken. We put it on the spinach salad with some oil and vinegar. So this stuff is delicious. It goes a long way too. And then we got some feta cheese, which we also will put on top of a salad. And low carb, high fat, I typically don't eat berries, but you can certainly eat berries. And if you put feta cheese on top of a spinach salad with some oil and vinegar, and if you have some, like red wine vinaigrette, makes it even better. And you can have some blueberries or strawberries in there and still keep it keto. We got some goat cheese. We put the goat cheese on top of chicken brine, which my wife makes. But also if you just have a grilled piece of chicken and you put some goat cheese on top of it, it'll melt. I imagine it'll be delicious on steak too. We got the Kerrygold butter.
Irish butter.
Irish butter, and it's grass-fed. Now in terms of grass-fed, when you want to invest in grass-fed, either butter or meat, it's because you're looking for the better fat profile of the meat or the butter. So if you're looking for a piece of meat like a sirloin steak that's not fatty and it's a lean cut of meat, don't worry about whether or not it's grass-fed unless you're just doing it because you want to be nice to the cows and want them to have a good eating environment, which I support too. But if financially you can't afford it, save your money for getting grass-fed beef products when you're worried about the fat content. We have the snacks, which are the Baby Bell whole. Now on low carb, high fat keto approach to eating, you don't want anything that says low fat at all. You don't want skim, you want whole fat everything, okay? So these are whole cheese, whole fat cheese, which are great for snacking. We got brown eggs and we have white eggs. Both of these are caged free. If you ask me personally, one, I've seen a documentary and seen video of how they actually treat chickens, which is pretty bad. But cage free, if you just compare the egg, the shell of the cage free egg is much better. It's a stronger, it doesn't disintegrate when you crack the egg. So from the get-go, from the feel of the egg, you can tell the difference. And then the yolk itself is typically more yellow, and I think it's just a better tasting egg. So if you can get cage free, again, we get it at Costco. So in terms of price, it's sometimes even cheaper than getting regular eggs from the grocery store. Now, a condiment that should have been probably in the front but isn't is tzatziki sauce. I think this stuff is delicious. Dipping some chicken into it. Sometimes I'll add a little bit more cucumbers in there for the crunch. Now, you can't have gyro wraps, but so what? Because Godo, what do? Lettuce wraps. And Papa and Godo love these. What we'll do is we'll do chicken lettuce wraps, or we'll do ground beef. And this is with butter lettuce. We'll talk about this in the back. But we'll get some ground beef, and we'll mix the tzatziki sauce with some guacamole, which I don't have in the box. I took it out of the box. That comes pre-made from Costco. And I'll have the link down below, and it's really a meal that you can make in 10 minutes, and we think it's phenomenal. These kids, is that good? Is that one of your favorite meals?
What? Yeah,
the lettuce wraps, the beef lettuce wraps?
This is actually my favorite.
Now, we'll go ahead and hit up the Caesar salad. Taylor Farm Caesar salad. This is Alejandro's favorite meal, you said, right? On keto. Now, he gets to have the bread crumbs that come with it. Depending on how many carbs I've had all week, I might save them up towards the end of the day and have some breadcrumbs, and it's not really going to throw you out of ketosis if you don't do that on a regular basis. But if I'm trying to be strict, I don't throw the breadcrumbs in there. But what we do with this is we get a lemon, or a lime, put it in there, squeeze a whole lime in there. We'll put some avocado, or I think the guacamole is actually great because it already comes pre-seasoned.
I put both in there.
He puts both avocado and some guacamole. And then we put some Parmesan extra cheese on there with some chicken, right, Papa? Some grilled chicken, and we stir that up and eat that thing, and it's delicious. I really, really like the flavor of that Caesar salad. So now that we're already back here, let's continue. What do we have here, Papa?
Big old bag of spinach.
Big old bag of spinach. And now I eat spinach practically almost every single day while I'm doing low carb, high fat. I'll have oil and vinegar, salt and pepper to taste on a salad, and I'll have it for lunch, and if I don't have it for lunch, I might have it for dinner. And again, like I told you, I'll put some salt and pepper, oil and vinegar, and then some Parmesan cheese or some feta cheese. Parmesan Reggiano cheese. Or some feta cheese on it. Now, I eat a lot of chicken, which is up here, and we'll talk about the meats in a second, but I eat a lot of chicken breast while I'm doing low carb, high fat, and a lot of people ask, well, why or how do you do that? Because you need to be, really focused on your fat intake. But the thing is if you're trying to cut weight, but maintain your lean muscle mass or gain lean muscle mass by, running a very short or small caloric surplus, you're gonna have to worry about hitting your protein intake. So if you are trying to get 60 to 70% of your calories from fat, but you're still trying to hit a protein intake number, you're going to have to get some meats that are lean so that you're getting more protein than fat in your actual cut of meat. So when I have to be worried about getting that protein intake number and hitting that number, specifically when I'm running a lower calorie deficiency, I'm going to eat a lot of chicken. If I'm worried about getting my fat in for the day, I might have a piece of chicken breast with some cheese on top of it, melted cheese, and maybe even some pepperoni on there too to increase the fat content of the chicken breast. Of course, avocados are a huge staple. I have at least one a day, sometimes two a day. And the fattiness and the creaminess of them all is delicious. Now, I've talked about this before. What I realized and what I learned was a trick to avocados is you let them ripen so they're soft to the touch outside, room temperature, and then when they get soft to the touch, you put them in the refrigerator and they'll last up to 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, depending on the avocado, but I've had some last 3 weeks. If we keep moving back here, we have some cauliflower. Now, we use this to make cauliflower mash, cauliflower mashed potatoes or cauliflower rice. And I think it's a great substitute for rice and mashed potatoes. I personally don't miss it. That being said, I told my wife, if you put some butter, some white pepper, and some salt on air, I probably think it's delicious. Now back here we have some green beans. These are actually French green beans. I think these are delicious by themselves. I actually love the flavor of these green beans. I don't even think they need salt or anything. I just eat them and they're fun to eat because they snap and they make a little sound when you bite into them. But these with the tzatziki sauce are phenomenal. But we'll use this to make like beef stew or carne con habichuela, which is a Cuban beef stew practically. But you just mix this in with some meats. You could cook it on the crock pot, I guess, if you wanted to, or a pressure cooker, and it's delicious. But I'll have that sort of like a soup. So it's a beef green bean soup, sorta, even though you're supposed to pour it over your rice. But I don't, because we'll have either cauliflower rice, or I'll just eat it like the soup and eat the liquid and the fat that's the soup itself with the green beans in there. Moving backwards, we have some baby arugula, we have some basil, we have mushrooms, which are in a bag. We purchased these from Costco as well, but we'll do chicken marsala, we'll do steak marsala, we'll do just, chicken and mushroom sauteed, delicious stuff. And we'll also break these bad boys up, stuff them with cheese and bacon, and they make phenomenal appetizers and or meals if you can get a big enough mushroom. The older I get, the more I love mushrooms. So if you don't love mushrooms, maybe you will when you get older. Back here we have some asparagus. We have broccoli. And then we have some butter lettuce, which we talked about earlier, which we utilize to make wraps. Now the broccoli, the asparagus, the mushrooms, the green beans, these are all items that we utilize to make other meals, like the broccoli. We'll use the broccoli and the cheddar cheese, which is up here, to make some broccoli cheddar soup that my wife modifies. And she modifies any of these recipes to keep it low carb. But not only are these items utilized to make other foods, but they're delicious with some butter, salt, and pepper. Now, let's go to the meats. These are drumsticks with the skin on them. My wife uses these bad boys, dark meat, to make chicken soup. And fried chicken drumsticks throughout the week, whatever the case may be. We have some pork. Again, look at the marbleization. Everybody knows pork's fat. We have some beef flat meat steak. Don't really know if we use this to make fajitas or not, but you can see the marbleization in there. And the thing is when you cook this and the fat comes off the meats, don't throw that fat away. Then we have beef chuck short rib, which I love. My wife sort of makes a beef stew out of that. We'll have that recipe later. We have bacon. Alejandro doesn't really like bacon. Well, saturated fat, all these meats, you don't have to worry about it. It's fine.
I love bacon.
He loves bacon. And then we have these sausages, which I love. And I'll show the camera right there. I've talked about these bad boys before. And what's really great about them is they're 200 calories and there's only 9 grams of protein. So that means 9 times 4 is what, Papa? So out of 200 calories, 36 come from protein and the rest come from fat. Great source of fat. You don't want to get all your fat intake from processed meats, and we'll talk about the reason why later, but definitely okay to have sausages from time to time, or more times than not, on a low carb, high fat eating approach. Then up front we have the chicken breast, which I talked about earlier. Now here's the honey maple smoked salmon, which I love. And it does say honey on it, which you're like, oh, wait a minute. But if you look at the back, there's only 1 gram of carb per serving. So as long as you use this as a treat, you'll be fine. So anyways, I think this is great because we all know salmon's got the good fat for you. So this is it. This is pretty much our Keto Kickoff grocery list. Of course, there's items here that are missing, but for the most part, this is it. So that's it for now. This has been Rolando Rodriguez with xgains.com alongside
Alejandro Rodriguez from the Super Rodriguez brothers.
Talking about our low carb, high fat grocery shopping list kickoff. Please let us know if you got any questions or comments down below. The website again is x-, that's the symbol, not the word, gains.com. And I hope you guys have a fantastic week.